Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. With the initiatives of our beloved HOD, Professor John Walder, today Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, PA College of Engineering is organizing its third webinar, Health in the Midst of COVID-19, by the resource person Dr. Jennifer D'Souza, Professor and Head, Community Health Nursing Department, Lakshmi Memorial College of Nursing, Mangaluru. In the early March, thousands of frontline primary healthcare workers across India tuned into an online seminar on strengthening the roles of primary healthcare in prevention and control of COVID-19. While most online trainings on COVID-19 have focused on hospitals, this seminar is concentrated on primary healthcare settings of common man. This webinar would help participants conduct effective prevention and control activities of COVID-19. With this introduction, it is my privilege to welcome our resource person and the participants of today's webinar. First and foremost, I welcome our beloved HOD, Professor John Walder, who has been our constant guide and mentor to all our activities in the department. Welcome you, sir. We have amidst us today's resource person and leading expert of community health nursing, Dr. Jennifer D'Souza, Professor and Head Community Health Nursing Department of Lakshmi Memorial College of Nursing, Mangaluru, who will deliver a seminar on health in the midst of COVID-19. It is my honor to introduce ma'am to the participants of today's webinar. Dr. Jennifer D'Souza, Professor and Head, Community Health Nursing Department, and also the NSS Program Officer of Lakshmi Memorial College of Nursing, is an enthusiastic, energetic, creative academician with 20 years of teaching experience who has excelled in the field of education and research. She currently heads the Department of Community Health Nursing at Lakshmi Memorial College of Nursing, Mangaluru. She completed BSc in nursing in 1998 from Father Muller's, obtaining second rank in Mangalore University, and MSc specializing in community health nursing in 2003 from Father Muller's with first rank from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. In 2007, she completed MPhil nursing from Manipal University with first rank. She was awarded doctoral degree from Yenapoya University for her research work on intensive training program for DOTS providers on quality of life for tuberculosis patients. DOTS is directly observed treatment short course, which is a combination of technical and managerial component, which quickly makes the infectious cases non-infectious and breaks the cycle of transmission. She has, to her credits, many publications in national and international journals. She has also presented papers at national and international conferences. Adding to this brief introduction, I'm happy to say that Madam is also the better half of our beloved HOD, Professor Walder. On behalf of the Department of E&D and the management of PA College of Engineering, I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Divya, for that wonderful introduction. I think I can start my screen sharing now.
Just a minute, ma'am. I'll welcome the rest participants and I'll I'll give over to you. Okay. I extend a wholehearted welcome to the coordinator, Mr. Vittal Bhatt, and to all my colleagues of PA College of Engineering to this webinar. At last but not the least, a cheerful welcome to all my dear students, alumni, and patrons of our institution. Welcome, one and all. I hope today's webinar will help us with the ways that we can make our community safe place to live with COVID-19. Queries among the participants could be asked towards the end of the webinar through chat box or microphone. Kindly mute yourself to avoid any disturbances. With this, I would like to say we are eager to listen to you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll do the screen sharing. Yes. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, today's topic is a topic which is well selected by your college, because as engineering students, many of them are in the technical field and may not be much aware regarding health matters. So I felt this topic to be apt at this time when we are having this pandemic of COVID. So health in the midst of COVID-19. I think most of you all sitting at home are really feeling right now bored, because what happens is we are missing our college, because this was the area where we spent, I think, most of the last, say for the first years, 1 year, for the second years, 2 years, and for the final years, 4 years. So we are missing our campuses. I think students are missing their PACE campus, and with classrooms, your travel to the college in the bus, your labs, and I think some resource people have come to your college. Now we are having webinars. I think face-to-face interactions was always better, and also hostel life, which is a fun at this particular, I mean, at this age for the students. So all these things we are missing. Along with this, because of this pandemic, we are also missing our famous places of roaming with our friends, or going out for sightseeing with our friends, or just doing window shopping with our friends. So we miss our famous city center, our Forum Pizza Mall. We are missing also our some of our treats, what usually we give to our friends, or our friends give us, or we simply go out and have it in the weekends. So we miss our Coke, our pizzas, our Dominoes, all these things we are missing right now. As well as because of this pandemic, our shopping has decreased to a tremendous extent. And also, as youth, we are more into seeing some cinemas. Even with the families, we go out with our children. So all these things we are missing right now because of this pandemic. So in the midst of all these things, though we are sitting at home very calmly here, though we may feel bored, but in spite of all these things, there are so many things happening outside. And all this is happening because we are at present sitting at home and witnessing the greatest show on earth, almost like the Third World War. We are sitting at home and seeing. I think during the Second World War and the First World War, since the media was not much developed, people were, I think, calmer at home. But now, because of the
Yes.
media effect, people are more drawn towards this pandemic, and having so much
Yes.
of fear regarding this pandemic because of the media. So we are facing the pandemic now of coronavirus, the biggest pandemic on earth. We see, because of this pandemic, the streets are deserted. Because of lockdown, malls are closed. Because of this, our markets, our regular shopping centers, our markets are closed. Offices are deserted. Colleges are deserted, and moreover, our places of worship is also empty. I think for the first time, I think in history, places of worship are empty. And all this is because of the lockdown. And soon after the lockdown was over, somewhere in the month of May, we had people coming back with so much of vigor to their native places, because they were stuck in the lockdown for a lot of time. They may be psychologically so much affected that they did not mind traveling also in groups. And this is one reason why the pandemic has spread. And also we see people coming out with so much vigor to the marketplaces, because they were tired of sitting at home, or provisions were not there in their houses. They had to bring out the provisions. And moreover, there is a fear that again the pandemic may rise and again there will be lockdown. There won't be things at home. So people come out without thinking of themselves. They come out, and mass gatherings like this occur. We also see police also, because of the pandemic, some areas where there were cases, they have put containment zones. There is heavy checking going on, and making the life of the police also at risk to this pandemic. Also, sanitation workers, their life also is at risk because of this pandemic. We have different centers like doctors and nurses in the hospitals, lab technicians, all these people are at risk because of this major pandemic. We have hospitals with new blocks opened and testing centers opened, because this pandemic has brought so much of a fear among the people. So in order to relieve the fear as well as to enhance people health, the government, the district health authorities have segregated Wenlock Hospital as one of the main testing centers for the pandemic, as well as admission of patients who are having the pandemic. We have beds in Wenlock Hospital. We have a new ICU set up in Wenlock Hospital with sophisticated bed and technology in order to help us, if we get the pandemic, to be admitted there and to take care of ourselves and the people who are in the pandemic areas. I'm a nurse, so these seats are a little bit common. Maybe for the technical field, these beds, what you see in this picture here, this particular picture is a new setup of Wenlock Hospital, where new beds have been sponsored. Some of the things have been sponsored also by Rotary Club of Mangalore, so that people get the facilities during this pandemic when they are sick, as well as the people with the PPE kits, the personal prophylaxis equipment, the kits, the mask, the gown, what you see they are wearing. All these are again contributions by government authorities in order to safeguard our health. So actually government is doing a lot in order to protect ourselves, to protect the public from this particular pandemic. So now going into what is health in this pandemic state. The general definition of health given by WHO says that health is not only physical, but it is a mental and social well-being. And it is not merely an absence of disease or just infirmity. Many of us think that when we are sick, we are having some physical ailment, maybe a fever, a cold, a cough, or maybe we may be having some diseases. That time only we are unhealthy. But actually, if we are having even mental illness, or if you are having some fear or anxiety, this also harms our health. So coming to the concept, just briefly, I will be speaking about physical health, mental health, and social health. So physical health says that man is like a machine. And I think this is very familiar to you all because you all are engineering students, most of you all. So man is like a machine or a circuit. And if there is a breakdown in any part of the circuit or in any part of the machine, the operation will not work. So man is a machine. And what is the reasons for man, or what is the reason for this machine to break down, or for man to become ill? So the main reason is an entry of a germ. So we have this germ which enters the man, and we have a doctor or a nurse or any healthcare provider who is taking or who is treating this man or repairing the machine, and then trying to remove the germ from the man's body. So this is basically what is physical health. There is one more concept of physical health, a disability or a handicap. Now a handicap or a disability will disable the person from functioning. It may be a person who maybe have lost a limb, or a person who is blind, or a person who is deaf, or maybe a person who has some chronic illnesses. But does this disability, or should this disability disable you to function? If you are sick, you are sick. But if you are disabled, you are not sick. So this is actually the concept which people like Sudha Chandran. Sudha Chandran was an accomplished Bharatanatyam. She is an accomplished Bharatanatyam dancer. And it seems she lost her leg when she was just 17 years old, when she was returning from a trip from Mumbai to Chennai. And during this particular time, she lost her right leg. And after that, she's been dancing with a prosthetic leg. How great of her. Even in this disability, she did not forgo passion for dancing and art. We have heard about Helen Keller. Helen Keller. So Helen Keller was an American politician, She is also a famous writer. She is a political activist, a lecturer, and she is a person who was deaf, who was dumb, who was also had blindness. And she has a famous saying, you can read it over there, what she has written about people who cannot see. Stephen Hawking, another great person. He was one of the world's most famous scientists, and he was a person who was also much disabled because of a condition of sclerosis. But he says that however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do to succeed. It doesn't matter, but it matters that you just don't give up hope. So this is one of the famous sayings by Stephen Hawking. And we have another great personality, Beethoven. Beethoven was a deaf person, but he is now one of the most famous, one of the most well-known musician. And it is so that this year, 2020, America has dedicated this particular year, 2020, in order to mark the 250th anniversary of Beethoven. He was a famous composer, a pianist, known all over the world. He was a genius, but he had a disability. That was, he was deaf, but still he is a pioneer in music, in the music field. So even if we have a disability, doesn't matter, look up to these famous personalities and take control of your health, take control of your talents, take control of your skill and do something. So disability is not an inability, it is a success. Now coming into mental health. So mental health says a healthy mind in a healthy body. We may be having a healthy mind, but our mind may be full of, we may be having a healthy body, but our mind may be full of stress. And when will this stress ball break? Okay, so we should not allow this stress ball to break, but we have to learn to manage our emotions. We have to slow down, keep calm, be positive, take it easy, unplug, enjoy life, have fun, breathe, take deep breaths often, relax, go outside, meditate. So these are some of the things which help us to keep our mind and body healthy. Going briefly into our social health. Social health consists of ourselves, our near people, our family who stays with us, or maybe in the hostels, our roommates or our hostel mates, in college, our schoolmates, college mates. So man interacts with one another, and man has to be approachable in order to be socially healthy. Man has to meet people. We have to nurture certain relationships. We can also try out new things, being creative, maybe gardening or maybe artistic abilities. So when you try it out, you become more creative. And the most important thing in social health, stop judging or blaming others. And this is what we do today. We blame the media, we blame the government, we blame our localities, we blame our health system because we are not able to contain the spread of the virus. So our health is in our hands. That was one of the famous sayings by Health for All. When the government gave free healthcare facilities, people do not take care of the health facilities because they take it for granted. We will get it free of cost. So government has said, yes, people's health should be in their own hands. And that's why in India, we have started the decentralized approach to health, where the health begins from the sector of the village. Then it comes to the district, and then from the district to the state, and the state to the center. So all our needs are coming from our local village levels itself. And so we have to be aware of this social healthy knot. So we should have knowledge with the health facilities available in our village. We should also have the time and the effort and the abilities or the knowledge to use those health facilities. And nowadays we have a lot of media in front of us. We have our mobile phones, our laptops ready at our homes, giving us so much information. And we also have social media like YouTube or our Google or all these things. All these things will also help us to have a lot of knowledge or gain a lot of knowledge regarding the health. So briefly now regarding COVID. Now this word COVID, we are hearing from last 2, 3, 4, 5 months, we are hearing about this word COVID. And many of the scientists have come forward to try to evade this particular virus, to try and have been trying to stop the spread. But however much it is, this particular virus is so strong that till now we have not found a successful vaccine for this virus or a successful way to eliminate it from the universe. And why it is so is because this particular virus is having a very, very strong structure. So this virus is basically spherical in shape. It is enveloped by RNA strands. This particular RNA strands, what it is enveloped is, these are the ones which have these protein molecules, and these protein molecules contact our body cells and then they replicate. The envelope bears the club-shaped glycoprotein projection, and some coronavirus also contains agglutinin esterase protein, which again strengthens the core of the virus. So basically, the virus outside the body does not multiply because it requires a host cell to multiply. So outside the body, the virus is only just lying like a non-living thing outside. But once it comes into the body, then it contacts the host cell, and it is so vibrant virus that it destroys the host cell, take up the host cell nucleus, and then they go on multiplying. So basically what is important for us to know is that we have to improve our immunity status. Then only this virus will not be able to cause havoc once it enters our body. So the spread of this virus occurs mainly close interaction with people who are having the disease. So it can occur through their breath or through their cough or through close contact with those people. The virus can also spread when you are sneezing. If the person is having the virus, and if the person sneezes even into a kerchief or into a cloth piece, and that cloth piece is left lying around, then the virus can spread from other person who touches that particular cloth piece. And it is also known that this virus is spreading by formites like our doorknobs, our car door handles. So all these things can also spread the virus. Also, the virus spreads through touching of the contaminated particles, especially in the labs when the COVID patient gives the sample for testing. So if the lab people are not properly protected, the virus can also affect their system. In this picture, you see a girl is standing there with the virus inside her body, and she has touched certain surfaces. What you can see in the light green are all the places where the virus has spread because she has touched those particular surfaces with her infected hands. So this is basically how the virus spreads in the atmosphere. And once the virus is affecting an individual, and the individual is not, the individual usually gets symptoms like fever, cough, there can be sore throat, there is severe headaches, lethargy for the person or tiredness. The person, because of fever, may feel chill. Chill is a normal sign when you have fever. So chills is one of the things that is common. Body ache or muscle ache will be there. Sometimes patients with COVID also complain of certain rashes on the body. These rashes may be reddish to purplish in color, and this particular thing doesn't appear for everybody. Some of the individuals with COVID have a history of these rashes, and also there can be difficulty in breathing, which is the last, not the last, but one of the severe signs of people with COVID. So we have fever as one of the symptom. Cough. This cough is a productive cough. It is a non-productive cough. Normally, when you get cough, you get sputum. But in cases of COVID, there is no sputum associated with this cough. It is a dry cough. A person may have nasal secretions, but the throat is dry. Sore throat will be there, headaches, I told you, tiredness, chills, body ache, skin rashes, and of course, difficulty breathing. So all these things are happening because of the infection with the virus. So you need not panic when you have these particular symptoms. You just have to go and test yourself for the COVID. And if breathing problem occurs, it means that the virus has reached your lungs. The basic anatomy of the lungs is that from the nasal, from our nose, we have the trachea pipe going into the lungs. So the trachea at the throat level divides into the bronchus, the right and the left bronchus. And you have the bronchioles, that is the branches of the bronchus. And at the end of the bronchioles, you have the alveoli. What happens in case of pneumonia? That is, in case of COVID, normally people have problem because they end up with having pneumonia. When the body cell, that is the COVID virus, enters the body, our normal immune system consisting of our WBCs, platelets, and all these cells, they come and try to fight with the virus. When they are trying to fight with the virus, there is an inflammatory reaction taking place. And this particular inflammatory reaction leads to a certain fluid production. And this fluid production, if it is not contained, it gathers in the alveoli, blocking the exchange of air. Alveoli is the center where normally the air is exchanged. So when the alveoli sacs are blocked, there is difficulty in breathing because there is difficulty in exchanging of air with the person who is having pneumonia. So these pneumonia-like symptoms are one of the main symptoms of severity of COVID. But you should remember that most people with pneumonia or with these type of symptoms of difficulty in breathing have recovered, have come out, and are leading normal lives today. So these people, you should remember, those who are having COVID with pneumonia also may not get severely ill. They can come out of the hospital with just some medicines to remove, some antibiotics or some antivirals can be given to them. And normally these pneumonia-like symptoms will go out even without the use of a ventilator. Now, basically, when a person is having COVID or when the COVID stages, there is an asymptomatic stage where the person does not have the symptoms. It is called as the incubation period. And during this incubation period, it is a stage where the person is unaware whether the person is having the disease because there are no symptoms, no cough, no cold, no fever, nothing is there. So the person will not be able to think that he's having the virus. During this particular period, if the person is going outside, the person has a chance of infecting everybody because when the person talks itself, the virus may be released into the atmosphere, released into the air, and the next person who is in close contact with him, the virus can also enter that particular person. The second stage is a non-severe symptomatic period. So here the virus is evident in the body, and during this particular non-severe symptomatic period, person may have mild fever, cough, or a mild throat infection, and the person may think it is a normal cold or a normal feeling of lethargy, but the person does not get infected at this particular period and does not start the remedial actions, then the person can go into a severe condition, that is a stage 3, severe respiratory symptomatic stage, where a person has difficulty in breathing or a person can go into pneumonia. So these are the 3 main stages of the virus: an asymptomatic incubation period, a non-severe symptomatic period, and a severe respiratory symptomatic stage. So this is basically the diagram of what I just explained to you. A person with a chronic lung disease is usually more risk of getting into the severe form of the disease than a person who is previously healthy. So people who are having some chronic infections of the lungs already, like chronic asthma patients or patients who are having the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or any type of lung infections. So these type of people have to be more protected or to be wearing a mask continuously when they go out, especially because they are more of chance or more of risk of getting the severe form of the disease when they get the virus. So now going into the main topic, how to protect ourselves from COVID. Basically, we hear of hand washing. We have heard about using alcohol-based hand sanitizers. We hear about wearing masks in order to cover ourselves, protect our nose, mouth from the COVID infection. We also hear about wearing masks, but we also hear about do not touch the mask with your bare fingers or with your hands. And after touching the mask, by chance, if you have touched, do not touch the part of the body to other parts of your bodies. And then we hear about this famous slogan, stay home, stay safe, and then social distancing. Now, a little bit what WHO has told us about these things. Yes, of course, these are the basic things we all know on how to protect ourselves from COVID. But just to highlight about WHO's actions regarding these things. So WHO has given us these things as the main things where we are supposed to protect ourselves by doing proper hand washing. So we are supposed to wash our hands with soap and running water when the hands are visibly dirty. But suppose the hands are not visibly dirty, then you can frequently clean them by using an alcohol-based hand rub. But always remember, soap and water is a better option to washing hands. Protect yourself and others from getting sick. So you wash your hands. Suppose you're having a cough or a sneeze. After coughing or sneezing, you have to wash your hands. When caring for any sick person, you have to wash your hand. Before, during, and after preparing food, you have to wash your hands, especially if you are in the kitchen or if you are preparing food for your family. Please wash your hand before, during, and after you prepare your food. Before eating, advise your family members and yourself to wash your hand. After toilet use, wash your hands. There is a controversial issue saying that whether using of toilet can spread COVID virus. So there is no evidence that toilet use can spread the virus, but it is advisable by WHO to close the toilet seat and then flush the toilet in case of a COVID epidemic if it increases rapidly. When hands are visibly dirty, after all, you have to wash it. And after handling any animal or any animal waste, you may be having pets at homes. So during that time also, you have to wash your hand before and after handling your pets. Protect others from getting sick. So suppose you are having a cough or whatever or a sneeze, please take the precautions of covering your mouth and nose with either a flexed elbow, as you see often now in the TV, they show how to flex your elbow, or by using a tissue paper. And after that, the tissue paper has to be discarded in a closed bin. Closed bin. Nowadays, when we go on the roads, also sometimes we see certain masks and all just thrown on the road just like that. That is all very unhygienic practices. So you have to dispose of in a closed bin. Clean hands with alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water after coughing and sneezing or caring for the sick. So these are some of the basic things you have to do with regarding your hands, hand washing. Now regarding using of the alcohol-based hand sanitizers, how much you're going to put on your hand? Are you going to empty the whole bottle in your hand? No, it's not required. Just apply a coin-sized amount on your hands. There is no need to use a larger amount of the product. So you apply little on your hands and then you rub your hands together and spread it throughout your hands. And avoid touching your eyes, your mouth, nose immediately after using the alcohol-based sanitizer, as it can cause a lot of irritation to the eyes or to the nose or to the mouth. And one thing all of us should remember are these alcohol-based sanitizers are flammable. There are incidences where people have used it in the cars. Cars have the fire has caught the car. And then there are also incidences where in the kitchen, there are gas bursting episodes or the fire episodes because of using the sanitizers in the kitchen. So do not use before handling fire or cooking time. And especially remember to keep the sanitizers out of children's reach, especially if you have small children at home. Teach them how to apply the sanitizers and monitor when they are using it also. And after using the sanitizer, alcohol-based sanitizer, keep it again in the safe place so that the children do not touch it again. Sometimes children have, sometimes the sanitizer are very colorful. They are red color or pink color, green color. So there is a high chance that small children, very small, maybe below 5 years children, they may swallow these thinking it is a juice. So all these things should be, we should, along with COVID also, we should take care of these things also when we are at home with our smaller kids or smaller siblings. Remember that washing your hands with soap and water is also effective against COVID. So you need not always use a sanitizer. Basic hand washing is important, and hand washing should be done at least for 20 seconds. Next concept after hand washing and using an alcohol-based sanitizer is a mask. Now masks are very common, more than anything else in the market. Commodity mask is sold, and masks are of different type. We have the fabric masks made of cloth. We have the surgical mask or medical mask, and then we also have this N95 mask. Which mask is best to use? How to use? I will tell you. So this is again by WHO. They have given us good education on how to wear a non-medical fabric mask. So most of us, as we travel or to college or when we go out, we use a fabric mask. So what are the do's of the using this fabric mask? So first of all, you clean your hands before touching the mask. Inspect the mask for any damage. There's a hole in the mask. We can sometimes we wash it again and again. So there may be a hole or a damage in the mask. So check, inspect the mask for any damage, or if it is too dirty, adjust the mask to your face without leaving gaps on the side. Ensure that the mask covers your nose and your chin. So when it covers your nose and your chin, definitely it covers your mouth as well. So avoid touching the mask in the center. Clean your hands before removing the mask, and remove the mask by the straps behind the ear or the head. And once you remove it, hold it with the strap. And if you have to store the mask, you store the mask in a clean plastic or a bag, and if it is not dirty or wet, only you have to store it. And then you can reuse it again after some time once you are storing it. But again, you cannot reuse it very frequently. You have to remove the mask and wash. So remove the mask by the straps when taking it out of the bag also. Wash the mask in soap or a detergent, preferably in hot water, or at least, at least once a day you try to wash your mask. And then after washing the mask, you keep it for drying in the sunlight and clean your hands after removing the mask. So these are some of the things what basically majority of us who are non-medical professionals, who are lay people, have to practice the do's of wearing the mask. So remember this, the mask should cover your nose and your chin, and the sides also should be tight enough behind your ears, and diagonally or loosely from your ear. When washing or removing it, take care that you will not hamper the infection to others. So I use the mask for a damage. So use a mask that looks damaged. Do not wear a loose mask. Do not wear the mask under the nose. Many of us have the habit of pulling the mask down. So it is always better to cover the mask. Do not remove the mask from your nose. Do not remove the mask where there are people within 1 meter. This is very important. Do not use a mask that is difficult to breathe. A very congested mask, it may be difficult to breathe, or maybe a mask with a very thick cloth may be difficult to breathe. So you can have a double or a triple layered cloth. More layers, it becomes for you difficult to breathe. And do not wear a dirty or a wet mask. Moisture is again one of the causes of hampering the contagious infections. So do not wear a mask which is wet. And do not share your mask with others. Very important. Do not share your mask with others. Especially at home, you may think it is okay. My mother is using, but all these things are very unhygienic, especially in this time of COVID. So do not share your mask with others. Once you buy a mask, keep it for yourself. Wash it, reuse it yourself. Do not share it with others. Remember, a fabric mask can protect others around you. To protect yourself and prevent the spread of COVID-19, remember to keep at least 1 meter distance from others. Clean your hands frequently and thoroughly, and avoid touching your face and your mask. Now, some of us may have family or your mother or father who is in the medical field. And usually people can wear, nowadays we see on the road also people are wearing a surgical or a medical mask. But it is not required to wear a medical mask. But medical mask is much more safer than a cloth mask, because the medical mask is made of this layer of cloth, which is almost like a tissue type material, and it blocks the entry of the COVID particles. So wash your hand before touching the mask. Inspect the mask for tears or holes. Find the top side where the metal piece, usually the medical masks are having a stiffness at the nose here level. So that particular top is identified, that is the top part of the mask. So you ensure that that particular top part is fitted properly on the bridge of your nose. And then the metal, that is the metal piece at the bridge of the nose, and you ensure that you are putting the right side, the colored side, which is facing outward, and place the metal piece and stiff over your nose and cover your mouth, nose and the chin with this particular mask. Adjust the mask to your face without leaving gaps on the side as you do with an ordinary mask also. Avoid touching the mask. Remove the mask. This is very important. A surgical mask or a medical mask usually is used in areas where there is more of infection. So you have to be extra careful not to touch the center of the mask or the mask itself. When you're removing it, you have to remove it from by touching the strings behind the ears or your head, and keep the mask away from you after you remove it, and discard the mask. Surgical mask cannot be reused. You have to discard the mask immediately after use, preferably into a very clean closed bin, and immediately after that wash your hands after discarding the mask. And the same precautions here also apply. Avoid 1 meter, always maintain 1 meter at least distance. Even if you are a medical person, talking with your patients, keep 1 meter distance in order to, often, you have to take other precautions also, but 1 meter distance is a must to maintain between yourself and your COVID patient. And the don'ts with the surgical mask. So do not use a damaged mask. Do not wear the mask over only the mouth or the nose. Do not wear a loose mask. Do not touch the front of the mask. You know, if you remove the mask from the nose, it is as good as not wearing the mask. So do not remove the mask. And if you touch the front of the mask with your bare hands, again as good as getting the infection to yourself. So do not remove the mask or talk to someone or do other things that would require touching the mask. Do not leave your mask, which is used in the, in a place where others also can touch it, and do not reuse the mask again. You have to discard a surgical mask soon after it is used. So these are some of the precautions while wearing a mask. So now we have talked about hand hygiene, how to wash your hands. We have also talked about alcohol-based hand sanitizers, and we have talked about how to wear a mask which is made of cloth or a surgical mask. And now talking about the common thing what we hear everywhere, social distancing. Actually, this term social distancing is a bit odd term, because I think people, some of the people, especially friends, with the help of the media have come closer, and they are not socially distanced, they are socially very close. So I think this term should be changed to physical distancing. So actually it is maintaining a physical distance, a safe physical distance between each person. So in order to maintain a physical distance, you should see that you are at least 3 feet or 1 meter away from the other person. So when you go to buy groceries, try to stand 1 meter away from the other person. Actually, I tried to do this once. I went to a bakery and I stood 1 meter distant from the other person who was already buying something. And when I was standing 1 meter distant from the other person and waiting for that person to finish his sale, and so I could go forward and put my order. But by the time I was standing 1 meter distance, another 4 or 5 people came in front of me and started ordering whatever they want to do. So actually it left me a bit upset. But I think it is really shopkeepers to see that people are standing in a queue. I know they want to sell their products, true, but it is always better for a shopkeeper to help in social distancing by being strict with his customers. So in order to maintain social distancing, we have to avoid handshakes and use our famous Namaste technique, avoid large gatherings, stay at home, do your work from home. And I told you, if you have to go to the ATM or if you have to go shopping, you will have to maintain at least a distance of 1 meter. Again, wear your mask and avoid touching the mask, especially in public areas, and avoid close contact with people who are having any symptoms or who are sick. Now, all this I told you is regarding the stage of the disease and the symptoms and the ways of prevention by using the masks having social distancing, etc. But what happens is, how much ever precautions we take, now we are, I think, between the stage 2 and disease spread in India, or especially in our Dakshina Kannada. So we have something called community transmission, which is now the talk of the town, because we have see people, especially in in areas like Ullal, where suddenly there is a mass transmission of the illness. So this is a beginning of community transmission. The whole of Dakshina Kannada has not yet reached stage 3, but there are symptoms and signs where soon we may go into stage 3. So when we go into stage 3, we cannot avoid it, right? Because there are heavy chances we may go. So it may be not soon in the future, it may be very soon in the future, where we may have our own people infected with COVID virus. So there are some things you do if you have a confirmed or a suspected case in your own house with COVID. So if you are ill, if you yourself are ill with fever and cough, you should practice the basic thing like cleaning your hands frequently with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand rub. You should stay at home. Do not attend work, school or public places. Be at home, rest, drink plenty of fluids and eat nutritious food. Stay in a separate room from other family members. But if it is not possible, you have to wear a medical, suppose the house is small and there is no space to have a separate room, then you have to wear a medical mask and keep at least 1 meter distance from the other people, and keep the room well ventilated, and if possible, use a separate toilet. And when you cough or when you sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with a flexed elbow, or use a disposable tissue and discard it in a closed bin after you use. And if you experience any difficulty breathing, then call your healthcare facility immediately. So this is if you are infected. Wash their hands with soap and water, and they should avoid unnecessary exposure with the ill person, and they also should take precautions when they are coughing, and they should monitor their temperature, because temperature or fever rise is one of the main symptoms of COVID. So they also should do their temperature monitoring at least once a day. And people who are in close contact with the COVID patients, who are taking care of the COVID patient, maybe if the husband is got, the wife will be in close contact, or if the child is got, the mother will be in close contact. So in this particular thing, ensure that ill people rest, they drink plenty of fluids, and they eat nutritious food, and always wear a mask when you're in the same room with the COVID patient. Again, frequently hand washing or using an alcohol hand rub is always advisable, and use separate utensils, towels, bed linen, etc. for the COVID victim. And wherever the COVID victim is touching, use an alcohol-based and rub that particular area, like doorknobs or bed rails, etc., or maybe the toilet doors, etc. And if the person weakens, if you find the person is weakening, then you have to call the for medical care. Okay, so this is basically how to take care of household members and yourself when a person is with COVID in your home. Now this concept is a new concept. By maybe to you all technical field, it is not new, but for me actually it was a new concept. As I was surfing, I got this concept on infodemic. So I know what is a pandemic, I know what's an epidemic, but I have not studied about infodemic. But now as I study about COVID, I hear this term infodemic. So what is infodemic? As we are saying, a disease spreads by a virus, false information also spreads by wrong information or by wrong facts. So infodemics is basically an avalanche of information that accompanies a pandemic or an epidemic, to the extent that it becomes difficult to distinguish the fact from the fiction, or identify information that is misleading. So giving a lot of false news and making people scared, bringing a lot of social stigma regarding COVID is COVID infodemic. So because of infodemic, people blindly believe whatever they hear and whatever they see regarding COVID, they believe. Even some false videos are posted where patients are treating not properly, and still they are blinded with that. And then they are often seeing things in the net and they get depressed because of this information. And because of that, we see cases where people are committing suicide because of having a suspected even case of COVID. Even before the result come, they are with all these type of very ultimate things they do. So all these things should not be there. So WHO is well aware of this problem of infodemics regarding COVID, and WHO has encouraged people to seek out facts and evidences. And whenever you get an information, question it. What is the source of the information? And if you are getting an information, you think before sharing or forwarding it to any other person. And do not share any false information which is not true. You be a good example as an educated person, as a student. Be a good example to share only what you think is benefiting the other. Spend less time online. It is better you see the news only once or twice a day. And if you're getting a lot of COVID posts also, you need not go on seeing that. You can delete it from your phone itself. Okay, so some before you could ask me the questions, I would like to list down some commonly asked questions to me and other health personnel regarding COVID. The first thing is, should I avoid shaking hands because of the new coronavirus? Yes, we all know it. We have to avoid shaking hands because our hands are a most important source of infection. So greet people with a wave, a nod, or a bow instead of shaking hands. Is wearing a rubber glove while going out effective in preventing the new coronavirus infection? No, wearing a rubber glove is not a solution, but regular hand washing is more better in order to protect yourselves from COVID. Commonly asked question by the housewives: how can I grocery shop safely in the time of COVID? So when you are grocery shopping in the time of COVID, you should keep at least 1 meter distance from the others, because you cannot avoid going out. You are going out, right? So if possible, sanitize the handles of your shopping trolleys or baskets before shopping. And once you go reach home, wash your hands thoroughly after handling and storing your purchased products. And there is currently no confirmed case of COVID-19 transmitted through food or food packaging in Canada. So you need not worry about that. But remember that whatever you bring from out should be safely cleaned before you could use it. A very common question, especially among the gentlemen: can COVID-19 be spread through coins and banknotes? Yes, it can spread, but there is no current evidence to confirm that COVID-19 can be transmitted through coins or banknotes. However, respiratory droplets which is expelled from an infected person can contaminate and can persist on these notes. So what you should do, after all, money is our daily thing we handle. So what you should do is wash your hands regularly and thoroughly after touching any frequently touched surface or objects, including coins or banknotes. And touching your eyes and nose and all these parts should be avoided. And it is always better to keep a sanitizer with you. So immediately after you handle the money, you can put the sanitizer on your hands. Another important question: what is the right way to disinfect the phone? So the right way to disinfect your phone is to switch it off first of all, and wipe your phone with at least 70% of isopropyl alcohol, that is with 70% of alcohol, and wait until the alcohol has evaporated completely dry before you switch on your phone. And it is always recommended that if you are going out with your phone and going to different places with your phone, to at least disinfect your phone once a day. How to dispose your mask to avoid a secondary contamination. This I already told you. You have to dispose your mask in a tightly or a closed bin, using it, and you see that that particular bin or the bag which you are using to dispose the mask is going into the garbage safely. And for people with fever and other similar symptoms, spray disinfectant on the mask and then you seal it before disposing the mask. And suspected and confirmed patients, this mask should be discarded as a medical waste. So you have to discard it in a medical bin. A common doubt among the people, how should I wash fruits and vegetables in the time of COVID-19? WHO says that we should wash the fruits and vegetables thoroughly with clean water. It is more sufficient. It is the most sufficient just with running water, especially if you eat them raw. But we have a practice, or even I have a practice of bringing the fruits and vegetables home and then either dipping it in salt water or in a water with a little bit of baking soda. So these things can be practiced, but basically washing the items with running water is very important, and washing your hands with soap and water after handling the items is very important in order to avoid the spread of the virus. Now, suppose you're in your neighborhood, there are COVID cases. So you have to stay home. Whether you're sick or no, stay at home. Keep away from the sick person. Stay informed about the local COVID-19 situation. Continue practicing everyday preventive action. Notify your workplace if your regular work schedule changes. And stay in touch with others by a phone or email. You can stay in touch with others. As I already explained to you how you are going to protect yourself from COVID. But suppose you are in the elevator, we use our lift or elevator at different places, maybe in your workplace or in your college, you may have an elevator, you are supposed to use it. So when you are in an elevator, wear a mask, very important, wear a mask. It helps to protect others as well as yourself from the virus. Avoid taking crowded elevators or entering with people who are coughing. It is always better to touch the elevator buttons with maybe with a pen or with a key if you have in your hand, but avoid touching it directly with your fingers. And clean your hands afterwards. And if possible, do not use the elevator. That's important again. If you have to use the elevator, you have to follow these things. But if you do not use the elevator, it is always better. And if you have to take a public transport, again, you have to wear mask and stand at a distance of at least 1 meter from the next passenger. But we see in the buses are overcrowded and there is no place to keep a foot. Then how will you stand 1 meter away from each other? So it is always better just to avoid travel itself is better. But in case you cannot avoid it, then after you finish, wash your hands thoroughly. After you come back home, if possible, take a good bath and with soap and water and wash your hands. These are important things to protect yourself from the epidemic. One more important suggestion for those who wear glasses or contact lenses. So don't sleep with your glass or contact lenses on unless it is instructed by your eye care provider. Always wash your hands with soap and water before handling your lenses or your glasses, and dry your hands well with a clean cloth before touching your contact lenses every time. Keep the contact lenses away from the water and keep your contact lenses, clean your contact lens case by rubbing and rinsing it with contact lens solution. Avoid using water because water again can be leave moisture, and then empty with a clean tissue. So these things should be practiced by a person who is wearing glasses or contact lenses during this time of COVID. And diet, an important question again. So eat fresh products, eat whole meat, can be eaten, fish, eggs, protein diet like grains or pulses can be eaten. It is always good to have a lot of vegetables in your diet, maybe 500 grams of vegetables and 200 to 350 grams of fruit should be eaten, because fruits contain a lot of vitamins and antioxidants when vegetables contain. So fruits and vegetables are better options than meat and fish during this time of COVID in order to increase your immunity. Drink at least 8 to 10 glass of water every day. And though there is no scientific evidence that warm water is good, but basically warm water will protect your throat from getting any other infection also. So it is better to have warm water in order to protect yourself from the infection with COVID. eat less salt, less sugar, less oil. These are some of the things which generally we practice. So you have to protect your overall health. So you try to eat less salt food, less salty food, like avoid eating Lays and bakery products, avoid eating cakes, pastries, etc., which are more of sugar, or too many biscuits also should be avoided. And also try to avoid fried items. Maybe you can have it maybe twice or thrice a week, it's okay, but avoid having fried items which have a lot of oil in it. And take vitamin C, D, and proteins. These are recommended. You can get these vitamin C tablets in the pharmacy, or you can take lime, home products like lime, or eating an orange or gooseberry, and lemon. All these things are very good in vitamin C. And vitamin D also is a very good antioxidant, which helps to improve our immune system. So vitamin D also acts to fight against, to enhance or boost the WBC, that is our white blood corpuscles, to fight against the infections. So vitamin C is the main source is by sunlight. So you can go to your terrace, you can enjoy some sunlight every day. I think I'm running out of time, but there is an important question. If you have COVID and if you have diabetes, or if you have hypertension, or if you have high blood, obesity, what you should do in this particular condition. So in this particular conditions, you meet your doctor and you listen to what your doctor says. You test your blood for diabetes or for your cholesterol levels. If you're having hypertension, you take your regular medicines. If you're taking insulin in case of diabetes, you take it. If you're taking a tablet in case of hypertension, you take it. And then monitor your blood pressure, monitor your things. This has to be done at least twice once in 2 weeks. Your monitoring of your sugar levels, or your BP levels. So these are very important in order to protect yourself from COVID, because people were having diabetes and people were having high blood pressure or a problem with obesity. What happens in this particular condition? Your general immunity itself in the body is less. So when your immunity itself becomes less, the body has no strength to fight against the infection. This also is very apt for older people, geriatric people, so who are above 60 years. So once the immunity becomes less, it is difficult to remove the virus from the body, because the body is not able to sustain that. So in that case, you have to take your precautions as per your doctor tells you. Some habits which should be avoided during COVID. So there was a myth when COVID started initially, because we said that we have to use alcohol hand sanitizers, no? So some of the alcoholics were very happy. They said that it is a good coping mechanism. Alcohol will reduce stress, they say, and anxiety. And also, if you drink alcohol, the virus will be flushed out from your body. So this was only a myth. Remember, these things are only a myth. Alcohol has been bad and is continuing also to be bad for the body. So avoid taking alcohol. It is a very bad stress reliever. It may be relieve your stress temporarily, but you will have permanent lifelong stress if you take alcohol. And moreover, in case of COVID, alcohol weakens your immune system. So avoid alcohol totally. Smokers. So smokers are the risk of having lung damage because of smoking. So this particular, the lung capacity decreases when there is a lot of tobacco products inside your lung tissue. So in order to reduce that, avoid smoking. And when you are smoking, there is more chance also that you are touching your cigarette to your face, your hands, etc. And this can again cause a risk for having COVID-19. So WHO says smokers are more likely to have coronavirus, and smokers are more likely to die from coronavirus. So smoking has to be avoided at any cost in the time of this pandemic. A few tips for pregnant ladies. Pregnant women with COVID or without COVID, they should be treated with respect and dignity. So we have heard cases where poor mothers, time of their labor, are struggling to give birth because no hospitals are admitting them. I'm very sad to say this is a very sad fact in the sight of our healthcare. because people are scared that if they admit a pregnant lady, the pregnant lady may be at risk for COVID because there are other COVID cases in the hospital, or they do not have time to deal with these cases because all the nurses are busy taking care of COVID patients. But but every lady should be given a proper pregnancy care and respect, especially when she comes for labor. So you can talk, for a pregnant lady should talk to her doctor even before her labor time comes, so that she is ready with which hospital she will go, and a doctor is prepared to receive her when she comes for delivery. And after pregnancy, if she has to breastfeed her child, suppose a mother is already having COVID or a suspected case of COVID, every child is having a right to be breastfed by their mothers, and every mother is having a right to breastfeed her baby. So yes, if the mother is positive and a mother is willing to breastfeed her baby, she can breastfeed her baby, because there is no evidence which says that COVID-19 is spread by breast milk. But the mother should take precautions. If she is suspecting herself of COVID, she must take precautions by wearing a mask when she's breastfeeding and avoiding close contact with her face and the baby's face during breastfeeding. And she should wash her hands before and after touching the baby, and also routinely clean and disinfect surfaces touched by herself when her baby is near, maybe the baby's cradle or the baby's cloth, etc. She should wash it regularly. Stress is one more important aspect of COVID, and stress is caused, Arab news, I got it from the Arab news, which says that people are having job insecurity, they are having stress because they are working from home. At home there is internet problem, there are suppose actually a lady working at home has to cook and all that at home, plus has to take care of her children online classes, and again working from home, sometimes the classes are her classes as well as, or her work and the children's work is clashing. So all these things, sometimes if you have, even the other day one of my family member had fever because of had some body ache, and I wanted to bring a paracetamol. I could not, because the medical stores, they do not give it to me unless I give proper information to them. So all this can cause a lot of frustration among ourselves. There are schools and colleges which are closed. There is social distancing. We cannot meet sometimes our close friends. Families have been set apart because of this COVID virus. And there is loss of access. Sometimes the food shop may not be nearby. There is no bus to travel. People have to walk a long time to get a nearby shop. So all these things, including domestic violence, sometimes the house is small and a lot of irritation from maybe the spouse or the children. All these things may, because we are in one atmosphere, one at home, no? So we should help each other instead of getting angry and all. We should be able to keep calm and help each other, especially our spouse and children, help them during this time of crisis. And there may be a fear of infection or contamination. So don't panic, just take your regular precautions and you will be safe from COVID. So you can practice exercising at home, doing yoga. You can practice your favorite art like painting, maybe gardening, maybe, or sometimes doing some preparing some artistic things. Or you can children can help parents in the kitchen or doing household works. And also you can chat with your friends. Of course, that is free for you. You can chat with your friends. You can talk online with your girlfriends or boyfriends or any other friend or your teachers, etc. So all these things are possible. And very important is spend time at home with your family. So parents and children have to spend time together, and this is a time of pandemic where we can realize how we are towards each other's relations, how loving we are to each other. If there is any sad or ill feelings, try to remove it. Be good with your parents, parents be good with your children, and be good with a sibling, be good with your in a family we can live happily. This information is for those parents who have small children at home. And these are the tips provided by WHO, which we can help as parents to reduce our children's stress. So listen to the concerns of your children and give them extra love. Sometimes what happens is children get phone calls from their classmates, or they're having their small mobiles at their own mobiles at home, and they read a lot of information regarding COVID, and in their innocent mind they get scared. So we should give a lot of love and concern to the kids, spend more love, time and attention to them, And when you are talking to your kids, talk very kindly and supportedly while reassuring them that you are well protected from the virus. Keep children close to their parents and the family, especially when you are at home. Don't keep them in separate room. Try to bring your children together with you. Keep to regular routines and schedule as much as possible. Give them clear information about how to reduce the risk of being infected. So basically, do not panic. Though the virus is near, avoid panic, because panic increases our stress, and stress increases our cortisol levels and all this, and our immune system becomes very poor when we are stressful. So don't be stressful. In this picture, you can see some doctors and all waving at some of the ladies who are going out. These are some of the live, this news was there in Digi World on May 23rd, 2020. Where 5 patients who were COVID positive have recovered from Wenlock Hospital and have gone home safely after being fully recovered from COVID. So 80% of the people survive after COVID. So you do not panic that you cannot survive with, if you have COVID. And this is what you can see on the screen now is a helpline site of government of Karnataka, of Dakshina Kannada and other districts of Karnataka. So if you go to this site, that is COVID-19 Karnataka government.in helpline, so you get all the helpline numbers. And if Dakshina Kannada helpline number is 0824, our Mangalore code 0824 1077. So if you have any issues with regarding COVID, maybe somebody in your locality you're suspecting of COVID who has not gone for treatment, or if you yourself are having any symptoms of COVID, you can always call this helpline number. Health officials will reach your home, will take your swab or your nasal swab for testing, and you can be protected from COVID. So this is the end of my small presentation. Any questions, please? I think I can answer some of your questions if you have any questions.
Ma'am, there are a few questions in the chat box.
Yes.
Chat box is there. Yeah.
I'll stop the screen sharing.
Yes, ma'am. There's a question whether can we take protein tablets?
Protein tablets actually are usually taken by the bodybuilders and all those people who are going to the gym. Right? Normally, we do not take protein tablets, or people who are having a lot of weight loss. Like in case of chronic diseases where they have a lot of weight loss, they are recommended to take protein tablets. I think in this time of COVID, when we are 80% healthy, we need not take protein tablets unless the doctor recommends you to take these tablets. It is always, instead of taking protein tablets, take lot of pulses like dals, green gram, chanas. These things will help you to have more of protein. Even simple groundnuts, chickpea, all these things are very rich in protein. So instead of taking the tablets, that is better.
Okay, ma'am. And one more question is how to detect COVID, whether it is you'll be having dry cough or a cough with without sputum.
Yeah, in case of COVID, you may have, yes, in case of COVID, you may have a nasal secretion, but you will never have productive cough. That is, you won't have cough with sputum. Because what happens is the virus which affects our throat does not cause any infection on the throat, which is having a lot of inflammation. So with that, once it goes into the lungs, of course, the infection spreads. But by the time the cough in case of COVID is basically a dry cough. And if you have other symptoms like maybe TB or severe respiratory infections, in that case, you may have a productive cough, but not in case of COVID. There is no evidence which says that COVID is having a productive cough.
Okay, ma'am. And one more question. Then how long can we stay with the mask? How long should we, sometimes we find it difficult to breathe.
Right, correct. Even I have experienced that because I've been going to college these days with the mask on. So actually when you are in a place where it is a public place and you have many people around you, you have to continuously wear the mask. But you can go to an isolated spot and release the mask every 2 hours, because every 2 hours, if you can breathe in some fresh air, it is always better. And in case you are in the college where you have your own chamber, then you can remove the mask and sit in your chamber. But if you are or in the home, when you are having, when you are in your locality, you need not wear the mask. That is when you are inside your own compound of your house. But if there is an infected case nearby, you have to wear the mask. And every 2 hours, it is better to just untie the mask and really, breathe in fresh air. But again, you should be very precautious to untie the mask, that it should not touch the center of the mask, only the sides of the mask should be touched. And cloth masks are usually advisable for people who are not in contact with any infected cases, etc. Hospital, of course, or in a medical field, we use a medical mask. And whenever you think of removing your mask, just remember those people, the doctors and nurses who are with the full PPE in the hospitals. You know, my own sister-in-law is there working in Bangalore in Nimhans Hospital, and she is wearing a mask with the full face mask, the original, her mask, surgical mask over that, a face shield, and then she has to wear the whole gown, etc., and all that. So all these things is really havoc. It causes a lot of health. Actually, she was telling me last time that with mask, she's finding her own oxygen saturation decreasing. And also, when she wear the mask and PPE continuously, the whole body inside is sweating. So, and also people with, especially ladies who are in their tender days of the month, during that time also wearing full PPE is very difficult, especially in the medical field. So just wearing a mask without the full PPE is much more better, much more comfortable for us who are outside the places where COVID is there. So you please see that you don't remove your mask, especially when you are in a crowded place. But if you have to remove it, or if you have to wear it and you're finding it difficult to breathe, then at least once in 2 hours, remove, take a deep breath, and again wear the mask.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. One more question: which is better, hand wash or with the soap or a sanitizer?
No, hand wash with soap is always better, because what happens is the COVID virus is having a lipid layer around it. Inside the virus body, there is a lipid layer,
Yeah.
and this lipid layer can be dissolved by simple soap and water. You can use any soap. Nowadays we have Santur ad coming which says Santur is the best soap, but nothing like that. You can use any soap, beginning from Lifebuoy or your Lux soap, or whatever soap you want, you can use. But you use the soap thoroughly, wash your hand for at least 20 seconds, and then you rinse it with water. And when you wash your hand, see that you are covering your nail beds and between your finger folds. That is very important when you hand wash. And alcohol-based sanitizer, like sometimes when you sit in your chamber and if you have somebody coming to you and they are just coughing in front of you, and then you have no other go because there is no tap nearby, in that case you keep a sanitizer next to you. You put sanitizer for your hands.
Okay, ma'am. Whether COVID-19 is airborne?
Yes, actually it is airborne for a distance of around 2 meters. So if there is any person who is infected with COVID virus, and if they cough or if they are talking loudly, and if the droplets are coming into the air, for 2 meters, there is evidence which is proved evidence that it is airborne. But right now it is not airborne, like it cannot travel the virus cannot travel so many kilometers. By the time it dies off in the air.
Okay.
But still, research is there on that, still going on that still.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. What is influenza-like illness? Maybe they're asking about the symptoms, I think so, ma'am.
Yes. In influenza, what happens? You get a common cold. You start with a common cold, and then slowly you progress to having fever. And with the fever in influenza, you get body ache and you get chills. Okay, and influenza is also caused by a virus. So you have first a common cold, and then you get a fever, you may get headache or body ache. But what happens in COVID is you get the fever first, and once the virus is coming to your body, you get fever, and then you may develop some of the other symptoms, because once the virus enters your body, it starts the inflammatory reaction. And you get what you call it, the symptoms, like cold. But here in case of influenza, you get a running nose. In case of COVID, you will not get a running nose.
And that loss of smell and taste also includes, I think.
Yes, yes. Loss of that is mainly lack of appetite to eat, lack of appetite to smell is there in all influenza. It is not only COVID. It is any virus infection. You get these type of symptoms.
Oh, so that is not one measure to identify whether it is COVID. Okay.
No, 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 not at all. Even a
Okay.
simple
Then
cold or fever,
yes,
you
ma'am.
get a lack of
Yes,
appetite.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Another question: whether oximeter to monitor blood oxygen level is useful in detecting COVID?
No, it does not detect. See, the pulse oximetry, what we have in the hospitals or which is available, you can buy it and keep it at home. It's a small machine which mainly measures only oxygen saturation. So when you measure oxygen saturation, if you are, it does not detect COVID. But if you have a COVID patient in your house, and if you put this pulse oximetry connected to this particular person, you can only see when the person becomes bad, the oxygen saturation will go down. So this is only one way to detect the COVID severity. It does not detect the virus as such. At the beginning stage of the disease, you cannot. It is no use using a pulse oximetry.
Okay. One more question: what is SARI case? The SARI SARI case. Difference between SARI and ILI cases?
Okay. Now, when you say SERI case, it is mainly with that is the serum for the particular what you call the disease. So, what happens in case of ILR is that we have vaccines which are kept in ILR containers. Okay, and ILR are called as ice line refrigerators. So, these ice line refrigerators, they are mainly most of the. I mean, we have it in all our health centers in Dakshina Kannada district, because almost I have visited many of the health centers, normally where we go also for regular postings, and all these places we have ILR. And these ILR, what they do is, these ice line refrigerators, even if the current goes for the next 24 hours also, they are able to maintain that temperature level. The moment the temperature level comes down, we have in that ILR one thermometer which measures the temperature, and it gives a particular reading to us. So then we can make out if the vaccines are potent or not potent. What happens in case of serum vaccines are, these vaccines are used, like we have a vaccine for snake bite, serum vaccine there for snake bite. So these type of vaccines are also stored, but they can be stored in the refrigerator. They need not be stored in the ILR type of containers.
Okay, ma'am.
Your doubt cleared, ma'am?
Yashashwini ma'am, hope your doubt is cleared. She's also a new mother, so maybe she's having too many questions.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
because she'll know
We'll go
more
to
about
the next.
vaccines
We'll
later.
move on to the next. Yes, ma'am. Which part of our body is more affected by coronavirus?
That is a very easy question. I think everybody can answer this, right? Anybody can
Yeah.
answer it? The nose, the entry of the virus is through our nose, our mouth, our eyes, which are the openings of our body where the virus enters us. And the first part of the body to be affected is the throat, and then going into the lungs. So the lungs is the most, the lungs is the only part known to be affected with COVID virus. Unless you have certain comorbidities, if you have maybe hepatitis affecting the liver, or if you have a heart disease, or if you have diabetes, then only will be affected. Otherwise, only the lungs is the source of the entry, the entry of the germ, and also the exit is through the mouth and the nose. So lungs is the only place which is affected. Right now, evidence shows that only the lungs are affected with COVID virus.
Ma'am, yesterday I
But
had
still
seen a
a lot
video that a doctor, he has
yeah.
told to apply Betadine to the nostrils and gargle with the Betadine. So will it
Yeah.
help, or is it necessary for people who are at home
See,
or
Betadine,
without
in case you are
symptoms?
having a sore throat, yes, in case you are having a sore throat, a Betadine
Okay.
gargle will help
Okay.
to relieve the sore throat. And Betadine is
Okay.
also having certain antiseptic and antibiotic effect. So
Mm.
you don't know whether it's a COVID virus or whatever virus it is. So in that case, Betadine gargle is the standard mode of treatment for any sore throat.
Mm.
But applying for the nose, so I think still research has to be done on that, because even my mother tells me sometimes you can smell Nilgiri or Vicks
Okay.
when you get a
Okay.
cold. So those are
Okay.
just the things which help us to relieve certain symptoms of our uneasiness. But as
Okay.
such, whether it kills the virus or no, still research is going on regarding that. Maybe
Okay,
it may,
ma'am.
to a certain extent, 20% prevent the entry of the virus.
Okay.
But even they say garlic, the smell of garlic
Yes.
virus will not come near, even ginger. So these
Yeah,
type of
yes.
normal remedies are, there's no evidence that it protects us from COVID, but there is evidence that it increases or boosts our immunity. So for that sake, they tell us to take a lot of ginger, garlic, and those things during this COVID time. The Ayush department tells us that.
Okay, ma'am. One more question. There are people who are asymptomatic. What is the reason for that? Asymptomatic.
I didn't get asymptomatic. Huh?
Ah,
See,
asymptomatic.
asymptomatic is because their immune system is good. So when people are asymptomatic, that is the first stage of the virus. And if your immune system is good, you remain asymptomatic for a longer time. You know, a simple example is like typhoid. When a person gets typhoid, the typhoid virus, the person may be a carrier of typhoid. He may have the virus the bacteria inside his body, but he is transmitting it to
Asymptomatic.
others through maybe the stools, etc. But he himself is very safe. So because his immune system is good. Similar way, also hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is also a common disease where which has been spread because of many of the practices like blood transfusion or unsafe sex, or it can be caused because of dental equipments used which are not sterilized properly, or any medical equipment used which is not sterilized properly. So all these things can cause this type of disease like hepatitis, but everybody does not give the symptoms of the disease out because their body
Okay.
is strong enough, immune enough to bear the symptoms without showing it out to others. So that's the reason why when a healthy person gets COVID, it takes time for the symptoms to be released out because of the
Okay.
body's response to the
Yes.
illness.
Okay, ma'am. Another question. Well, are the PPE kits 100% safe?
Nothing is 100% safe, but it is almost 98% safe PPE kits if you wear it properly and if you are careful in wearing it and removing it. The moment you remove it in a very inappropriate manner, then you are
Okay.
just throwing the infection other than yourself. So PPE kits,
Okay.
there is a practice on how to use it for those who are using it. So that particular
Okay.
practice has to be followed. Then only this, and moreover, PPE kits, if it is not disposed properly, also it can be a source of infection.
Okay, ma'am. How is COVID-19 tested? How PCR is done? Whether the test of COVID-19 is fully effective?
Yeah, right now the best test is only by this PCR kits. PCR mainly it is a kit where you are what they are doing is first take a nose swab like a beer,
Not audible, ma'am.
so
Clear.
just a longer
Pardon,
type
ma'am.
of,
Pardon.
yes, like how
Pardon.
you
Not
have
audible. Clear.
a earbud, no, a
Okay.
earbud. So a
Okay.
similar type of material is used, just like a longer piece of earbud, which
Okay.
goes into your nose. They put it into
Hmm.
your nose, and they go to the upper part of your nose here, and they remove the nasal swab. So the nasal
Okay.
swab is sent for this testing. This PCR stands for polymerase chain reaction. So once they put it into once they are in the lab, once they do the testing, then if they find that this reaction is there, it means the person is having the COVID. So this way
Okay.
is right now, this is the prime area of, way of testing patients with COVID. And the results also come within a day or two.
Okay. The next question is on the same. Does it really take 2 days to get the results? Is there no other rapid testing kits available?
Rapid testing kits are only symptomatic, that is our temperature, just checking the temperature and all that. But we have to take the sample and give it to the lab and testing. Definitely, it will take 2 days for testing because because the procedure itself, the PCR procedure itself, it's like that. It takes some time. You have to keep it, to isolate the virus, and then you have to send it for the centrifuge and all that. That's why this PCR is taking 2 days to get the report.
Okay, ma'am.
There are some researches done where they're trying to get some more rapid screening
Yes,
type of
testing
testing
kits and
done.
all.
Hope it
Yes,
comes
ma'am.
out fast into the market so that we can
Yes,
protect
ma'am.
others from getting the virus
Yeah.
fast.
Yes, yes. One more question. Why the cost of COVID treatment is costly in private hospitals? They say the COVID package costs around 1.5 lakhs.
Yes, actually, what happens is it is costing for the testing around 4,500 to 5,000. And what happens, even in Father Muller's, they charge around 4,500, I heard, for COVID
Just
testing.
testing. Yes,
What
ma'am.
happens, yeah, for COVID testing? During the time when a person is coming for COVID testing, who come for COVID testing are people who are suspected of having the virus in them. So what happens
Okay.
is the person who is testing them, the person who is receiving them, the person who takes their sample, the person who is transporting the sample, everybody wears the PPE, as well as the area around that person has to be infected. The person is entering the OPDs, extra, or all those areas. All that cost includes the doctor who comes there, he may be charging also, the nurse who comes there. So the whole charge is put on the patient's head. That's why in private hospitals, the whole charge of the COVID, it not only is their treatment, also the surrounding sanitizing and giving all the PPEs, etc., gloves, masks, the full PPE equipment, all that load is coming on the patient's party to pay. That's the reason why it is very costly in private hospitals to be admitted when you're having COVID. Unless the government maybe fund these hospitals, they will not spend from their pocket, no? So they put it on the patient's head.
Ma'am, suppose if we suspect ourselves that we might have come in contact with an COVID patient or the infected person,
Yes.
for how many days should we isolate ourselves from others? That you
Suppose you are
suppose we
suspecting,
suspect ourselves,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. If you suspect yourself of having COVID, and if you can immediately go for testing. That is one go for it.
Or
Immediately go
sometimes
for
our
testing.
friends will be having like they might have got, and we might have come in contact with them some 3-4 we might have met them some 3 to 4 days back. So then
Yes.
how to
If your friend is confirmed of having a COVID case, then the right thing for you to go is get yourself tested. In case you are having still doubt, then you can always call the helpline number Mangalore 1077. They will come to your house and take your swab for testing. And then within 1 or 2 days you get your result. Between that time you have to isolate yourself in a separate room, maybe with using separate utensils for your eating and all that. And it is always better if you have the facility to be also have a separate toilet attached to your room. So you need not go out for anything from your room till you are getting the confirmed result of your test, whether you are positive or negative. But home isolation, room isolation is much better than having a suppose surely you know that your friend is having COVID and you have been in touch with her, and instead of you going all the way to the hospital for testing without taking precautions and infecting others on the way, it is better to stay at home and call the medical people home to take your swab for testing.
Oh yes, thank you, ma'am. And one more, whether nose, mouth, eyes are the only parts of the body which the entrance for the virus?
Yeah, right now it says that the openings of the body, the nose, mouth, eyes are the main source of infection. There is no evidence which says that through the food the virus is multiplying in the body, or by drinking water the virus multiplies. So that is all not. It is all not researched and not proved yet. But basically, since it is airborne, basically we are breathing through the nose and the mouth. So that's why it is the mouth and nose are the main source of entry. And eyes mainly because when we touch our hands, nose, eyes, and then touch the nose and again touch the eyes, it can be a source of entry also, eyes also.
Okay, ma'am. So I don't find any more questions in the chat box. You can directly ask participants. You can directly ask questions.
Yeah, Divya ma'am, can I have ask a question, please?
Sure.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Fatima.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question regarding the mental health of a patient, like when he is recovering, not the when he comes to when he has diagnosed with COVID-19, when he is undergoing the treatment in the hospitals. Is there they will be having so much of mental stigma passing through them, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
is there any counseling, like I have seen in the news and all, in foreign countries, when after post recovery the patients will be sharing their experiences.
Yes.
So they will be talking about the counseling and all being done in the process of recovery. So is it being done in the hospitals here, like in Father Muller's and all, since it is so that they get the mental boost up also along with the physical boost up during the process of recovery?
Yes.
Any
actually, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Actually, what happens is since COVID has brought so much of fear among the people, even people who are not having so much of problem with COVID are admitted in the hospital. And this causes a lot of social stigma. Even if the patient recovers and comes home, people are looking at the person as if the person has got some dreadful contagious disease, which lifelong will not be cured. So this type of stigma is there in society, in our Indian society. Sadly, it is there. So actually, there are counselors in the hospital who can counsel these patients, and the patient should request for counseling, because what happens is nobody likes to be simply exposed to COVID patients. So at present in the hospitals, as far as my knowledge is, or what I have heard from my friends, nurses are the main counselors. Even doctors come to the hospital, they be with the patients for just one round. That is maybe each round maybe just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But a nurse is there 24 hours with the patient. And the nurse is the most important and main counselor for the patient. And I have seen in my career too, nurses are well aware of the mental health of the patients, and they do give a lot of counseling, not only for the patient, also for the patient's relatives. But if you feel that your loved one is there in the hospital with COVID and he's having a phone with him, or the hospital is having, the ward is having a phone, and if you want him to talk to a counselor, definitely any counselor will talk to the patient over the phone. But there are counselors who are scared to, or rather the hospital does not allow extra people to enter the ward for the safety of the counselor, etc. So in that case, otherwise the counselor has to wear a full PPE kit when she meets the patient, right? So this type of things like social media can be very helpful in counseling the patient in this way.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, how useful is Arogya Setu app?
Yeah, actually, Arogya Setu app is done by our Honorable Prime Minister. No? So it is actually good, because I have the app in my mobile itself. And if you keep the app on with your GPS status on and your Bluetooth on, wherever you are traveling, if you are traveling in a COVID zone, immediately the color will change. From green to red, it changes the color of the app. So it is good in order to protect yourself from the virus. It doesn't protect others, but if you're having the app when you're traveling, then it is protecting yourself from being in close contact with anybody else who is, or the going to a locality where COVID is there.
Like many has a those who don't know much about this mobile and all, they think that it detects the COVID.
No, it does
Old
not
people
detect
and
the
all.
COVID.
Yeah.
It only detect the places where COVID patients have been there.
And they
Or
have to be registered, isn't it, ma'am?
yes,
If
when
they
you
are
enter in
registered only.
Arogya, yes, when you are entering into, suppose a COVID patient is there who is not having the app, even then the government authorities, they have a tracking system for these COVID patients. So automatically it's updated in the app whenever your COVID patient is there. For example, now I am staying in Kulshekar. In Kulshekar, if any COVID case comes, automatically government are notified, and they put it under a containment zone or a particular zone, and then that particular things come definitely in the app, that when you are traveling, suppose to Kulshekar, it shows the color change in the app, how close you are to that particular area where the cases have been there. So it's an overall app just to protect yourself from going to those areas where there are COVID patients. And for the government, it is very important, especially for health people, it is important to track if the person is having COVID. So it's one light way. So it's one way, like a tracking system.
Yeah, this I think repeat question. Is it true that COVID can spread through currency?
No, not
Note.
directly.
Yes, you have already.
Yeah, COVID. It is like we have to handle money every day, no? So even ATM cards, or even when you go to the ATM, we usually press the button without thinking anything. So it is always better to do a proper hand washing. And what I am practicing in my house is that me and John Walder sir also, when we are taking money out and when we come home, we have a separate box for it. We keep the money in that box only. And that box is kept away from our children. It is kept outside. And outside the box, we are sanitizing it with little bit of spirit, so that the outside the box is virus free, by chance if the virus has come to the box. But basically, hand washing is the best technique whenever you handle money. Either with the alcohol rub sanitizer, or with soap and water, you can wash your hands.
One more question is there. don't know how far it is relevant. There's a rumor that Mangalore and all hospitals are making it a business out of this pandemic. Don't you think all the treatment should be free?
Treatments are, if the treatment is given everywhere free, then whatever half salary we are getting, that also we won't get. So that is the thing, that is one of the things which is affecting especially private sector, private hospitals, because they cannot give free for everything, because they also should have some source of income.
Yes,
So I think here the health insurance authority should act more, and they should be acting by now. Almost now we are in the 4th month of the pandemic. I think more than the government or the hospitals, the health insurance sector should have come forward now with certain policies with regarding COVID, which they are failing to do. And even patients who have died with COVID also, even if they have a health insurance, I have heard that those people have not got the benefit of that health insurance. Because it is they say COVID is a new disease. When you sign the policy, this particular disease was not there in the policy, and such type of things they are saying. So the government should actually take action on this, because many of the people of India cannot afford COVID treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I have heard is, if you are admitted in the private sector with COVID, by the time you come out, you are already spending around 7 to 9 lakhs in the hospital.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That too, if you come out safely. So with all these things, with all these things, it is right time. I mean, actually, it is for the government also. It is not easy. Actually, government is doing a lot. Even before I used to think government does not do. But actually, the government sector is doing a lot for healthcare. They are giving pregnant ladies so many schemes. Children, Anganwadi children or the children under 5, so many schemes are there, freely run by the government. Midday meals in the school, they don't charge a pie for it. Then there is also TB, DOTS treatment, which is actually, I have studied regarding this TB treatment. It is quite a very expensive treatment. If you do it in a private doctor, you are spending a lot, but government is giving you free of cost. HIV patients, the government has no fault in spreading HIV. It is individual patients who are at fault spreading HIV. Still, the government is giving HIV treatment, that is the ART treatment, free of cost. So COVID also, maybe once the funds are stabilized, they may contribute also to COVID. But right now, I feel whatever they are doing in the government sector, by giving the patient at least so much percentage of treatment free, that is so much of the government really, and we should appreciate our health authorities for doing so much of work, especially surveillance work regarding COVID. And in Bangalore, I've heard that even the government authorities are asking volunteers to help, even Bangalore volunteers to help, because they're not getting their own medical staff are not willing to help. That is, the private sector is not willing to help. So many of the hotels are converted to hospitals, all under the government, because the private sector is not cooperating in this manner. So actually, government, they should do the funding, but right now we cannot afford. Our country is not that good to afford the thing. So that's why maybe
the population also is very large.
Yeah, population also is very large. Yes, and if and one more thing is, government does it free, nobody will bother. All will be very cool, and all will be thinking that if I get COVID anyway, government will take care. So what is the use of problem thing? Like now you see the states, countries like USA, where today morning the news, my daughter told me she's regularly updating herself with COVID. So she said today there are 64,000 cases one day with COVID today in USA.
Oh, okay.
That is all because their sector is fully sponsored by the government, the health sector.
Government.
That's why
they don't take any responsibilities, citizens. Yes. One more. How can a virus live in a? How long can a virus live in a non-living thing like objects?
Yeah.
How long a virus can live?
Yes, research says 2 to 6 days.
2 to 6 days, ma'am. Hello.
Just 2 to 6 days, but government and other research literature tells us to protect ourselves is 14 days.
Okay. When is the new vaccine for COVID expected? Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you, Divya. Yeah.
Yeah. When is the new vaccine for COVID expected? Another question, ma'am.
Now our biocon industry in India is now propagating that they will by August 15th release the Covaxin for COVID.
Yes,
But there are a lot of researchers, scientists who say this is not possible to release the vaccine in the market by August 15th because clinical trial itself takes to 1.5 years.
yes, ma'am.
But still, our industry, biocom industry, they are saying they will release the vaccine. Then we have, as Indians, we have to see the after impacts maybe after 1.5 years.
Yes,
But right now, what
yes,
happens? It is like a lifeline. People who have the
yes,
disease and have a severe stage of the disease will take the vaccine because it is
yes,
their yes or no. If they take it, they die. If the vaccine is not good, if they do not take it, also they die. If their health is too bad.
yes,
So these trials have to be taking place, but a lot of ethical things will be involved in this type of trials. A lot of ethics will come forward. So a lot of rules have to be put: who has to take the vaccine, who can, who cannot, and definitely they will ask us to sign a consent if we want to take the vaccine. So all these ethical things will come up if the vaccine is released so fast without proper clinical trial.
okay, ma'am. I think we don't have more questions. Yeah, that's all for today. It was indeed a very informative session presentation, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now,
Thank you.
now I request Miss Nandini as to propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah, a very good afternoon to everyone present here. At times, can you hear
Yes, 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 Nandini, ma'am. We can hear you.
out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lightened the flame within us. So it is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on the occasion of today's webinar. I, on behalf of PA College of Engineering, Mangalore, and the entire fraternity of institution, I extend very hearty gratitude to our distinguished speaker, resource person, Dr. Jennifer D'Souza, Professor and Head Community Health Nursing Department, Lakshmi Memorial College of Nursing, Mangaluru, for enlightening us on a huge array of information over the last 2 hours. Thank you, ma'am. I would also thank our beloved HOD, Professor John Walder, sir, for his guidance and moral support. I am also very happy to express a vote of thanks to our staff that has made this seminar very grand success through their motivation and dedication. It has been our pleasure to host all the participants of the webinar. The participants were very enthusiastic and I'm very thankful for them. And also I'm sure that the participants are benefited by this webinar. I thank all those who have turned up and participated overwhelmingly in such great numbers, not only from our department, rather also from other departments of the institution. So thank you so much for your cooperation and making this webinar successful. An event of this dimension can't happen overnight and needs meticulous planning and execution and an eye for detailing. So I would like to give my vote of thanking the coordinator, Professor Vittal Bhatt, for taking the initiative and making the webinar a great success. So as we know, the current circumstances we live in are unknown to us all, and they bring a lot of uncertainties and new challenges with them. So we hope that this crisis will be somehow resolved in the near future, and that if anything, we will be able to learn something from this crisis. As Marie Curie says, nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. So all of us need some huge positive energy to fight against these negative forces. So, and we have to generate the positive energy for the welfare of the humanity. So finally, I once again thank everyone whose contribution has made this webinar a successful one. So maintain social distancing, stay safe, stay at home. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nandini, ma'am. A video recording will be available as a post-seminar reference point for participants and all who were unable to attend the seminar. Thank you, ma'am, and all participants. Thank you, one and all. We hope to see you again next time. Bye.